I'm feeling this kinky part of me come alive, and I really want to know what it would feel like to like have your hand around my throat, or for you to spank me when we're having sex, or these things, these new desires are coming alive for me. Like, how would you feel about that? Or would you be open to exploring that together? So it's like leading with a desire and expressing what's alive for you, and then inviting your partner into it. Like, basically, this is what I desire. What are your thoughts on that? Or are you open to that?
Yo, 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 lovers. Welcome to Sex, Love, and Everything in Between. We're the O'Neills. You're here with Meg and Jacob.
And this is the place we have really uncensored conversations about sex, intimacy, and relationships. We're super excited you're here. Enjoy this episode.
Hey, lovers.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome. How are you, my love?
I'm great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Feeling good?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit... how am I feeling? I think I'm like feeling... We've had so much on that I'm like... I can feel the part of me that's like rushing towards the weekend.
Yeah.
Today's Friday. We're recording, and I can feel the part of me that's been in a bit of a rush, and I just want to slow down and just be really present right now. So I'm just going to voice that into the space. We've had our baby shower. We've had so many amazing things. Lots of family staying. I put a drill bit through my finger right in the middle of the baby shower, the baby blessing that you guys were a part of, and I squealed.
We had my beautiful friends put on like a mother blessing ceremony for me before we had our afternoon like baby barbecue, baby shower. And yeah, we're in the living room and we heard this like actual squeal.
Blood-curdling squeal.
Yeah, and Jacob had put a drill bit through his finger. Well, your brother had put the drill bit through your finger.
Not intentionally, but the way that he laughed afterwards felt like it was intentional.
It was so intense. It was in a very like beautiful ceremonial part of the entire experience, and we just hear this.
Fuck you, Ryan. There's something really endearing about those moments with like men in my life. I quite enjoy, like there's something about like getting hurt with your mates that just makes sense as a man.
It's like a bonding experience?
It's a bonding experience. I don't think it's something that, I don't see a lot of women experiencing those sort of things, but like it was such a dumb thing to do. And I was so conscious that you guys were in ceremony too. And I was like, well, I've got to be really quiet. So we went down the street with this drill bit trying to drill a hole in a crystal, and
you were down the street.
We were like down on the other side of the trailer. Like we'd walk. So that it was a loud one.
Okay, it was very loud.
But yeah, and we're just super grateful for all of our friends and family and how generous they were. Like we got pretty much everything that we've needed for the baby and for us. And we've put in like we've got meal vouchers, and we've ordered all these beautiful meals from our friend Milena at the Life Harvest. And
oh my gosh, I'm so excited for how well fed I'm going to be postpartum.
Yeah, and everything's just flowing. Yeah, it's getting sort of to the tail end of the pregnancy, right?
It is, and we just had some things unfold with the way the birth was, like who was going to be here at our birth. That's changed.
We've shifted. Yeah, we've switched
36 weeks pregnant.
And it's all perfect.
And it feels I'm really unbelievably grateful. It just feels really incredible that, life unfolded in the way it has to have this other woman that's going to attend now instead. And I feel really, I feel like life in the last week has initiated me into like deeper levels of trust coming into birth. And, like how this is I don't want to go into details, but we had a particular birth keeper coming in who can no longer make it. And we've now got another birth keeper coming, but there was like half a day or maybe a few hours where there was like, oh, we don't have anyone coming to our birth and we don't have anyone supporting us.
Which I think was necessary to feel we both were like, oh, we could do this on you definitely felt that, oh, I could do this we could do this on our own. I probably wasn't as strongly convicted in that. But if that was the way it was going to go, I was happy to follow that thread. But to feel that kind of feel the void of not having a birth keeper for that 4 hours, and then meeting the lady who's supporting us now, it was like, oh yeah, this is an integral role, and it feels really good to have someone in our corner.
Totally. And it was at the beginning of our pregnancy, I was like, oh, maybe it's just meant to be you and me at the birth. Mm-hmm. And I feel like potentially there is going to be a future birth that we have where it is just you and me, and then maybe someone else, our friend or a family member here looking after our other children.
Yeah.
I would love to experience. I truly feel like that's going to be part of our experience. And I thought potentially that we that could be potentially where life was calling us for this first birth. But yeah, as soon as this first birth keeper was unable to attend anymore, there was this part of me that was like, oh no, I do not want that. Like, even though we're having a medically unassisted birth, and that's the plan right now, I still want someone there, like holding the space, filling up the pool, like doing, just like holding the container. And so, yeah, that just the way that's unfolded. And I just feel I'm so fucking proud of myself and us, because I'm 36 weeks pregnant, and that unfolded. So like, yeah, I'm just really proud of the level of trust I've had through this pregnancy. And obviously doing a wild pregnancy, like we haven't had scans, we haven't been to a doctor, I haven't, had a midwife, anything like that. There has been a level of trust, but also that hasn't felt hard for me. There hasn't been a moment where I'm like, should I get a scan? Should I have a midwife? Oh my gosh, where is the baby? What position is the baby in? Like, is the baby growing? Like I honestly haven't felt any of that. I've just been in the depth of trust the entire time. And when this unfolded this week, there were moments that wobbled me. And so I think that was just important for me to feel, and like I almost had to practice trust this week, where I haven't had to actively practice it because it's just been like anchored in my system. So that's been really beautiful. And perhaps that's something I really need coming into the birth too, to remember like trust is an active practice.
Yes.
Because no doubt bringing this baby earthside is going to require deep trust.
Rite of passage, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just honoring your capacity to feel it rather than project it or make it about something outside of you. I think it was a really beautiful moment to see you. And also gave me a little taste of like, oh, like there's going to be things in this birth experience that I'm not going to be able to feel or do for you. And my job is to not make it about my discomfort and not make it about, I want to change or fix this for you. And
completely,
the path is the path. So yeah, I'm a bit jealous
of me giving birth.
Yeah, wish I could give birth.
You're saying that kind of in a jokey way, but I know deep down that you are genuine.
I have a true belief that everything that a man creates is an act of jealousy for the fact that he cannot create life. So he creates everything as grand and as tall and as big and as shiny as he possibly can in an attempt to get close to what it would feel like to grow and give birth to life.
Wow. I remember Leon saying that at the poetry night we went to, and he was saying that like women don't have to actively go out and, create rites of passage for themselves, because we have innate rites of passage in our body. We have our bleed, if a woman chooses or has the experience of pregnancy and birth, we have menopause, we have like all of these body-based rites of passages.
They're almost the stages of womanhood are defined by your body.
Totally.
It's like its physiology is kind of defines.
Yeah, we have physiological rites of passage. Yeah. And he was saying that this is like men go out and create, whether it's like, what's a rite of passage that a man might go out and just any of these things, and maybe traditional things as well. Like men are going out to almost like create their own initiation and rite of passage. That might be similar to a birth experience.
Yeah.
Or similar to a birth experience where part of you has to die and be reborn.
Yeah. Yeah. Women birth life from the womb, and men birth like their what do they call it? Like men birth their gift to the world from their wound, which is revealed through an initiatory experience. And that's what Leon speaks about. It's like women bleed like from the womb, and men like have to go out and they have to find a way to bleed, and it's like the wound is what bleeds. That. So that's the whole concept of rites of passage for men, which I think is really cool, because that's where the gift of life comes from. Your womb, like the gift of the gift that men have to give the world, comes from his core wound. And that's kind of what needs to be nurtured in men, which is kind of physiologically built in to women's bodies.
Yeah. Even what came to me then was like Sundance, and we know a few people that have done Sundance in the Native American tradition. And they have the piercings, but only men really do that, because, and the way that beautiful Harvey described it was like, oh, well, women, we already bleed. We're already making our sacrifice and our blood offering to the earth, where men create these piercings so that they're like offering their blood to the earth. Yeah. It's so cool. And I love, it's so beautiful. Like I love, like so many, I would say, if not all, traditional Indigenous cultures, honor and revere the feminine and the physiological rites of passage of women, and the power in that, and the wisdom and the depth of connection in that. And not just women see that in themselves in traditional cultures, but like the whole culture reveres that. And it's so beautiful. Yeah. Okay, should we get into this Q&A?
Let's do the Q&A.
We're Q&A today, beautiful people. These are all questions from women. Shall we dive in?
Let's dive right in.
Okay, first question. How do you talk to a male partner about how to touch you in the bedroom, and also when you want to explore new things, without being in teaching mode or making him feel like he has to do it? Or making him feel like he has been doing it wrong before. Can I dive in first?
You do it.
I'm just huge on being desire-led in this. And this is the same in, and I speak about this in all of a relationship. I often say underneath every complaint is a desire. So maybe there is, and this again, in and out of the bedroom, maybe in the bedroom, the complaint is, oh, he goes too fast. He's never like actually present with my body. Or like he goes too fast would be the complaint. Okay, there's a desire underneath that. You know what you don't want, the complaint. If you bring the complaint, he is most likely, going to feel like he is doing something wrong. It's going to create contraction. So my suggestion and the deepest practice in this would be like, find the desire and be able to communicate that desire. So this could sound like, oh, it would feel really good if you slowed down right now. Oh, it would feel really good if, fill in the blank. Or I would love it right now if, that can, so it doesn't have to be like, no, that doesn't feel good. Do this instead. And also I want to really just like bring it in here that yes, obviously you're allowed to say no, you're allowed to be strong in the bedroom when boundaries are being crossed. And sometimes it is very needed in those kind of moments. Right. But if there's particular, if there is just this energy of like, oh, we'd love it if you slow down right now, you can bring that in a desire-led way without focusing on he's going too fast and he's not present. You get to focus on like, oh, like leading him with your desire, expressing that desire into the space. And I think, can I just add one more thing here?
Yes.
I just want to speak into the part of the question where it says without being in teaching mode. When you're leading with desires, it doesn't necessarily have that energetic of teaching. So if you were to say, oh, it would feel really good if you slowed down. Oh, can you go a little to the left? Oh, actually, I'm not ready to be entered yet. Like it would feel really good for me if you, can you lick my pussy again? Can you do this again? Like, right? It's not necessarily like, hey, I want to get off and you've gone into, like, you've tried to penetrate me too quickly, but you need to know that I need more time. Like, it can just be this, hey, it would feel really good. I would love it if.
And to sort of second what you've said. I think that it's really important to use communicate with your entire body and your sounding. I think that's a really important thing. If it feels very kind of logically like, oh hey, can you just, oh hey, it would feel really good if you slowed down, and you kind of didn't, like, you could use your body in a more powerful way, and I think that's part of the feeling process. So like consent and, you know, own your no and all of that, yes, and like his responsiveness will be, I believe, can be determined by the amount that your body is communicating as well.
Yes, and that is, I would say, becoming responsive in and out, like throughout an entire sexual experience. Because, you know, like, I've become a very responsive woman in the bedroom. So, you know, even if I'm not saying it, you know, from my breath, from the physical movements of my body, whether I'm fully there or not. You can tell in my body whether I've closed or contracted. And that's because when I'm open and I'm turned on and I'm really there, I'm letting you know that through my breath, through my sound.
Yeah, 100%. And there's like two things that I want to like acknowledge, which are really important to be in the space, is like, as a man, you are not responsible for your woman's turn on. Like, that's something that she must own and claim and bring through and speak her desires from a turn, she's not a light switch. You don't just turn her on, or she's not a car that you turn on and let warm up. Like, there is a mutual experience occurring here. It's not 100% your responsibility to get her off or turn her on. And as a woman, you are not responsible for a man's reactivity to your desire being voiced. If he takes that open, loving, beautiful invitation that you present, and he takes that personally and he's reactive, that's not your responsibility to make him feel, to retract it and make him feel comfortable. If your desire wobbles him, and that's a sign that there's a space for you guys to grow into. And I know there's been times where you have, definitely been open and inviting with that, and I've taken it personally, and it's only because there's a truth in it. I'm rushing, and I've had to slow down and connect with my breath and take some time. So they're the two things that I'm really conscious of. Was like, a man isn't responsible for a woman's turn on, and a woman isn't responsible for a man's reactivity when she brings her desires if he takes it personally.
And I think I just want to deepen into what you're saying around a man isn't responsible for a woman's turn on. For the women listening, what Jacob's really saying is, don't just lie there and expect that he knows exactly where to touch and exactly how to do it. And this question isn't saying that at all. This question's like, I want to teach him. I want to teach him.
Yeah.
But how do I not teach him where he feels wrong? But this is important. Like, no matter how good a lover your partner is, like, every physical body is different. So although there might be globally, a particular way that women like to be touched or, pleasured, every woman is going to be very different. So it's your responsibility to be able to express what feels good to you and communicate what feels good for you and communicate your turn-ons or communicate your turn-offs. And that is your responsibility. If you're not seeing that as your responsibility, you are going to be outsourcing that to him and kind of being like, well, he didn't touch that right, and he's So that, your whole entire sex life will change when you actually take responsibility for that and become a woman that is not only willing to express that, but is expressing that and knows that's a very important part of experiencing deep levels of pleasure and intimacy.
Yeah, and the key thing for me there is like staying engaged in the experience as a woman. Let the desire be moving through your body as you're in the experience. Like, start to use, like, that's a big thing for me. And I think because we've had experiences where you've spoken to desire and then I've like felt responsible for it, but then I haven't communicated, and it's created clunkiness, and that's pointing us to a deeper connection anyway. But I really feel that like, there can be and from the work that I've done and the men that I support, there's been a common thread. It's not every man, but there's a feeling of like, I have to make sure that she gets off, otherwise I'm not a good lover. And there is a really beautiful thing in like when a woman takes full responsibility for her turn on, then the desire comes from the fullness of her being and the fullness of her having a relationship with her body. And it's not just like, hey, do this so I can get here. And it doesn't become around like the teacher. It's like, hey, you do this and this will happen for me.
Yeah. I want to also add that, like, if you're a man listening to this, bringing your curiosity is so beautiful. Like if a woman can feel the part of you that's like, I want to pleasure you, like what feels good? Like it feels the part of you that really wants to learn her body and wants to understand what feels good and what doesn't feel good. And that's like so beautiful. So like bring your hunger to learn, like let her feel your hunger to learn as well.
Can I say one more thing on that?
Yeah.
So the words Meg, I think she said like softer or slower, like the like describing words are really powerful for a man as well, rather than like direct, like this real direct, like this is how you need to touch me for me to get here. It's like actually being in the, almost like the communication is part of the dance. And I really like the words harder, softer, or slower and faster. And they're really great descriptive words that can kind of like be turned up or turned down. So the difference between like maybe a man's going 10% too fast, right? He's just getting a little excited. And rather than you saying, don't do that, or I don't like that, my love, can you slow down a little? I want to really feel you inside of me. It's a completely different invitation, a completely different type of communication than, I don't like that. And you have every right to say that. Like, please don't ever feel that you don't have a voice in the bedroom. I want that to be known. But there's like, if it is like 10% too fast and you know that slowing down 10% would like really, really feed you, rather than saying, I don't like that, can you use the words, my love, can you slow down a little? I really want to feel you inside of me. Yeah.
I always like to say, like, and again, can you slow down a little? Perfect. Or, it'd feel really good for me if you slowed down, or like it would feel really, like, I think this is a part of a woman owning her feeling as well. Like it would feel really good. Oh, like this is feeling, like to really own that as well. Do you not like that?
I don't really like that. Personally, it doesn't feel like it would feel really good for me. That triggers my like, then I have to do it for you. Like, I don't know why that wobbles me for a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I like the idea, like when you say like, I want to feel you inside of me, like my love, can you slow down? I want to feel you inside. There's like
I got you. Yeah. And I guess that's the same thing, owning it. It's like, she's expressing what she wants to feel.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't, but like, I also know that I have a habit of like putting other people, like I have been a people pleaser and a nice guy, and that kind of tendency is like, and if it's feeling I guess it's a, like I said, it's the calibration of like, that might be feeling really good for me. And if I've dropped out of consciousness and you say that, it's like, I've forgotten about you. And I'm rushing again. But, I don't think there's any right or wrong in it's about like,
you get to play. But I think that's something that just like owning the desire. Yeah. Like you said, can you slow down? I want to feel this, or can you, I think that's beautiful. And I like that you said that the slower, faster, like it doesn't have to be like this whole descriptive teaching of like, hey, can you slow down because because we haven't, like, it takes a woman about 40 minutes to be turned on, and my vestibular bulbs are not swollen and erect right now. Like, it doesn't have to be that. You don't have to tell him why you want him to slow down. It could literally just be, like you said, slower or faster, like harder or softer. Like, you can just advocate for that, and it can just be as simple as that. I just want to speak into one other part of this question, which says how to talk to a man, your male partner, when you want to explore new things in the bedroom as well. And I think this can be true for the other part of the question around like when you want to teach him how to touch you in a different way. I am a big advocate for having conversations outside of the bedroom.
Yes.
So like, yes, in the moment, expressing and being responsive to what's unfolding, but also let's say, for example, you are feeling like this kinky side of you come alive, and you're wanting to explore like, I'd love to be tied up, or I'd love like, I want to know what it feels like to have a hand around my throat, or like to be spanked. Like if that part of you is coming alive and you would like to explore that. First of all, the desire date would be amazing.
Just do the desire date.
Do the desire date.
Please. It's in the show notes.
We'll put the link in the show notes, but we created this date night experience. It's like 27 Aussie dollars. Yeah. It's phenomenal. But I do want to add something to this, and it's that, again, leading with desire of like, hey, I've been feeling these things. Like there's this part of me that wants to get a little kinky. And I've been feeling this part of me that would love. And you can even, if that feels really nerve-wracking for you to say, like maybe you've been in a 10-year relationship and you've had the same sex the entire 10 years and suddenly you're like, I want something new. That's probably going to be shit fucking scary to have that conversation, right? To do something different after a decade of making love in a particular way. And so again, you can express that into the space like, oh, hey, I have something to share and it actually makes me feel a bit nervous. Are you open to hearing it? It's about our sex life. You know, I'm feeling this kinky part of me come alive, and I really want to know what it would feel like to like have your hand around my throat, or for you to spank me when we're having sex, or these new desires are coming alive for me. Like, how would you feel about that? Or would you be open to exploring that together? So it's like leading with a desire and expressing what's alive for you, and then inviting your partner into it. Like, basically, this is what I desire. What are your thoughts on that? Or are you open to that?
Definitely do the desire date.
Yes.
Or like that's this.
We really facilitate
really
that.
The structure of it. And what I feel is that when you do the desire date, you've got a kind of like someone holding the space in like the guided. You've got structure. One of the things that can overwhelm a man in this is that, number one, he'll be like, I should be doing better. I'm not good enough. It'll bring up his I'm not enough wound. And
maybe.
No, I would say like 99.9% of the time it will.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would argue that, like with all of the men that I've worked with, it will bring that up. Like even if it's just a twinge. Because it's like, there's you want more? And if he hasn't done a lot of work, and if this is the question, like, how do I bring it without teaching? It's like, well, then like I believe there's having the desire date as a facilitated experience where you've got sort of, you're both in it together is really important. So it's not like you're having to sort of bring him along or teach him or show him. And the second part of like what can overwhelm a man is like, sometimes it can feel like if there isn't that structure, that he's being dropped in the middle of the ocean with no land in sight. Like a woman's desires can seem and feel endless to a man who has been doing the same thing over and over again, not just in the bedroom, but in all of his life. He may not have variety. He may have chosen comfort. He may not have been celebrated for his adventurous spirit, and that might have been squashed. So he's learned to play it safe. So that feeling can be quite overwhelming. So don't hide your desires, please. Like they're an important part of like really cultivating his masculinity. Like the more you're able to bring those, the more he's going to expand and create this beautiful masculine container for you to just melt into. And there can be, like with anything, the emotional aspect, the emotional foreplay of like, okay, how can I deliver this to my man? Which is what you said, outside of the bedroom is so important. In the moment can be a little, it can feel a little brash, or it can feel like, oh, okay, well, I've got it, okay. And then, but that's all part of it. I think that's all part of it. Like one of you going into your head and then feeling the awkwardness and then coming back, and it's a dance. But I just really want to like advocate that, like, if you're a man, or if your partner is a man and you feel that you can see that he's like such a great guy that does all of the things and he always shows up but doesn't have that, I guess, that curiosity around the adventurous stuff, especially in the bedroom, there is a way to bring it, and that desire date, I believe, creates safety. And I've had so many men who've done it and they're just like, oh my God, I didn't know this was available. Didn't know we could do this.
And just facilitating those kind of conversations that can be uncomfortable, and that can, sometimes we want to have those kind of conversations to expand our sex life, but
Yeah.
Some people just don't, or many people don't know where to even begin. The desire date is just like phenomenal.
I'm really passionate about this. The other thing is that he may be in what Meg, talks about, the homemaker and the whore. He may be seeing you in that light. He's like, oh, well, I can't, like, I want you to be looked after and have a home and, have all the comforts, and I want to look after you and I want to treat you like a princess.
I can't choke you. I can't spank you. I can't.
Literally, and he has to build a relationship with his own inner beast, which is, learning to actually cultivate that and learning how to bring that through cleanly. Every man really should go on that journey. But if he's been hardwired to believe like you're precious and can't be, you're meant to be put up on the pedestal, and everything that he does is in service to you, and, you having a very safe and secure life, then when the whore like bares her fangs and wants to be, dripping in eros and feeling all of the pleasure rippling through her body, if that's not something that he's aware of can coexist with with that, like that can be a really great conversation as well. It's like, hey, I love all that you do for me. I love being this, but there's also a part of me that is like aching to be fed, and I want to explore it with you. Yeah. And like, I'm not in a rush, but I'm also not this isn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah. And again, a conversation to be had outside of the bedroom.
Totally.
Like if you want to be choked and spanked, and I'm just using this as an example, like that kind of side of BDSM or kink, that's probably not something to like mid-sex to be like, hey, choke me. And you've never had that. You've never played in that dynamic. You've never expressed that that's something that you want. That probably would feel jarring if you've been having, the same kind of sex with your partner. So again, go do the desire date with your partner, and this will facilitate then some more explorative experiences.
Definitely. One last thing that I want to say. I'm going to keep doing one last thing. This is a really important conversation for, like, I just know there's so many women that are aching to be fed in this way.
Yeah.
And like really understanding men is important for this. Like, because I get the feeling there's a lot of women with men that are good servants, but maybe not like able to meet them deeply in this arena. What did I want to say now? I forgot. After I just had one more thing to say.
Okay, next question.
Oh, just give me like 10 more seconds to try and remember it.
Okay.
Damn. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. The other thing that I feel like we use the kink, like choke, spank, that kind of language, but there may also be a desire for like deeper presence from him. So maybe eye gazing is what you want more of. Maybe you want to breathe together first. Maybe you want to feel that intimacy build. And that can be uncomfortable for a man as well if he hasn't really, done some inner work. So I just want to say, the kink stuff, yes, fuck yes, love that. And if you're feeling that and you want to bring that, but there's also this other part of like him being able to attune to your body or be able to like deliver the hand on the throat with love, to be able to spank with love, to be able to treat you in that way from a place of love, as to how do I actually get him to like become aware of the subtleties of my body, and how can he begin to read the instrument that I am.
I actually think that's so important, because our doorway into kinkier sex, or more like BDSM dynamics, was through, we were having I even found a post this morning about us doing like naked yoga and going to a tantric naked yoga class, like it sort of been like 9 years ago.
Yep.
And so that, if a man doesn't have an attunement to a woman's body and isn't able to create safety, which a huge part of creating safety for a woman in the bedroom is deep presence and attunement to her body. If those ingredients aren't there, that's not going to be a safe partner to enter into BDSM style dynamics.
Yes.
To be dominated by, to submit to. And so, I think those, I just love that you said that. I'd never thought of that I had, but not in that particular way in terms of our trajectory as well.
I really love the podcast I did with Alan McGrath. I learned a lot. It reminded me a lot of the stuff that I probably hadn't really sat with for a while. And he said, if you can't create intimacy, you shouldn't be practicing polarity. And I'm paraphrasing and kind of saying that in my own words there. But essentially, like, if you're not creating intimacy in your relationship, you shouldn't be practicing polarity because the connection isn't there. So that for me is like a really good, I think the kink and the I think that's all, I think it's all of it. I don't think it's one or the other. So for me, like, creating that intimacy and taking the time to connect, whether that's in the bedroom when you're eye gazing or taking a moment to like breathe together, or whether it's like connecting and actually having dinner together and, talking about your desires, like that intimacy will almost lay the foundations for polarity and the hand on the throat and the kind of the richness of pleasure to reveal itself.
I feel like
Does that feel good?
Yeah, and I have a few guests lined up or that I'm in conversation with right now that are more in the kink BDSM space. So I need to get those guests on,
please,
before I give birth.
I think that's really important because
I think it's just someone to speak really deeply into the because with even BDSM, for example, people who practice BDSM are like boundaries, communication, safety, all of these things are almost like amplified so deeply because you can't be practicing those things safely without those kind of conversations and that kind of, and a very high level of communication. So yeah, definitely want to have a deeper conversation with a guest around this. And that's the key piece, I think, too. Like I'm really excited for you to interview those people because that's something that I'm still learning more about it myself as well. Yeah.
Like, how do I, and I think that's the piece that Alan really dropped on me. It was like, create intimacy and then practice polarity.
Love. And
that's something that I'm really, it feels right in my body, in my bones. So.
Okay. Next question. How to create sexual tension or keep desire alive in a long-term relationship, especially if your man is always exhausted or busy.
So that was a long pause.
Do you want me? I've got things to say on this if you don't right now.
One thing that I would like be really, the one thing that like because I know what that feels like to be tired and exhausted. Don't underestimate the power of nourishing touch and it leading toward like intimacy and then leading towards the passion. That would be my what feels right for me to say on that.
Yeah, and I think there's a few pieces here. I think that if you can really see that your man doesn't have much to give in a particular season of life, you could really step in and be like, wow, how can I be a great lover in this moment? Yes, I know I want to feel his beast, and yes, I want him to throw me up against a wall and take me. But right now I don't feel like he has the capacity for that just with how much he's giving in life. So how can I, be the best lover to him? Is that nourishing touch? Is that a massage? Is that worshiping his cock? Is that whatever it might be? Switching that focus and seeing, that could be the doorway to the intimacy that you're really aching for. So that would be my first piece. Second piece is if this doesn't just feel like a season also, if this feels like something that has been showing up a lot in the relationship, and this is, ours has been more a season, but this has been showing up for, like, you've been really full and busy in the last few months. And this is something that I've brought is like, oh, hey, like, I really feel like our sex and intimacy hasn't been a priority for you. And it's such a priority for me. And I really want this part of me to be fed. Even we spoke about this on the last podcast or the one before that, like there's this dirty little whore in me that wants to be fed. So yeah, this first piece around like, how can you nourish him, or how can you bring, like, nourishment can also be from the super slutty part of you that worships his cock, or that, is just like giving to him, or putting lingerie on and cooking dinner. Like, there can still be, you can nourish him with your sexual aliveness and your sexual energy. It doesn't always have to be, I think sometimes when we are women that really ache for our man to dominate us, let's just say, and lead us sexually, we always think, or we're always waiting to feel his power in that and to feel his initiation in that or initiative in that. And that doesn't always have to be the case. We can really lead at like our sexual aliveness, and our eroticism can really feed him. But that second piece I was just speaking into would be, expressing your desire. Like, hey, I'm really wanting to ignite our sex life. And, I've been feeling, that maybe that doesn't feel important to you right now, but I'd love to hear what you have to say on that. Also, we spoke about this on another podcast, the reality of being in a long-term relationship, maybe having businesses or working and maybe having children. Like, you've got to be very intentional with creating an environment for sex and intimacy to thrive. So maybe this conversation is you bringing the desire forward and saying, hey, I would love like deeper intimacy. And like, I would love to, I want to like feel really sexually connected right now. I'd love to have a conversation around like what we can do in our life to really support that to happen. Because I know when you get home, you're really tired and sex does feel hard. And then you're up early in the morning and like life happens, and just actually knowing that it's about creating, an environment for that to unfold. Yeah.
And at the core of it is like quality of connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's important. The quality of connection. And if that quality of connection isn't there, then your woman isn't going to feel fed. Therefore the family unit will fall apart. It's like, natural order. And I feel that that's something that as a man, we can take responsibility for tending to the container, but not what's in it. It's like, and that can be kind of where we lose sight of the important pieces.
What do you, can you give us more specifics
the bills,
on what?
The house, the providership, the protectorship. And it's like, I'm never actually present with the things that that's in the actual container that I've created. It's like, am I actually do I actually make time and prioritize and say no to other things and like make my wife feel chosen, claimed. And if I don't, then how am I going to do that in an appropriate way so I can still do the other things that need to get done, but I don't drop the ball here? And you will. I think that's part of learning, is that you drop the ball and then you're invited back into, hey, this is important to me. So I've found that that's the and we spoke a little bit about this, but like getting out of the environment, like maybe if you do work from home, or maybe if like the home is a place where you feel, you look around, you're like, oh, I haven't done that, and that, it will take you away from the moment. So maybe it's like we're going out to dinner and we're leaving the phones at home. We're going to the beach for the whole day. Yeah. We're packing food. We're going to be there. And you one thing that I will say for men is like create a large enough window for you to actually wind down and unplug from whatever is going on else in your life. To think that you can just get home, cut ties with work and all of the responsibility and then instantly switch on and be like deeply present with your woman, you're going to have a hard time with that. Yeah. So find a way that it's like, okay, well, like I need, for us, if we're going to go on a date, maybe it's 4 hours. I need 4 hours because the first hour I might still be like, there'll still be things that I'm letting go of. And then once we're in, and I found that works really good for me. A longer period of time together to land that is really important, rather than like being able to like show up at 5 o'clock every afternoon and be like, boom, all right, yep, I'm here, I'm present, let's go. Yeah. Just like little things too, because I'm just really focusing on this part of the question that says, how do we create sexual tension and desire in long-term relationship? But if your man is always exhausted and busy, again, nourishing him and like, how can I support you? How can I nourish you? You can even have that conversation or ask that question. Another thing is like throughout the day, like maybe it is doing something that you've never done before. Have you ever sent him a nude while he's at work? Like using this, like building your eroticism and knowing that you can experience and express and be in your eroticism whether you're having lots of sex or not. And actually that's
that's going to feed you and that's also going to feed him. And not using it. It's like, oh, not like, oh, I'm going to use this so he wants to have sex with me. No, like what if it was like, oh, I'm going to come alive and I'm going to bring this part of me really alive so that I'm fed and I'm feeling fed, but also so this is a gift to the relationship. So yeah, maybe it's like, oh, okay, this week I'm going to like send a few nudes without even letting him know, or I'm going to self-pleasure and send him a photo like while he's at work, like something you like doing something that you've never fucking done before. That's kind of going to like, oh, like what the fuck?
Even like if you're not comfortable sending nudes, that's totally okay. Like an SMS, and this is, you know, like a text of like, oh, I wish your cock was in my mouth right now. I wish you're inside of me. Like that sort of stuff. Like it will like prick up his ears.
Prick up his what?
His ears will become erect. He'll feel a little hot and flush. It's like, oh yeah, you've just like entered his field. You've just taken up space, and you're like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, and it's something I say time and time again to women is like the price we pay as women to be fully expressed and fully liberated is awkward and uncomfortable. And for many women, even like I was never someone who could give you a striptease or, you know, express that part of me to you. That felt so fucking uncomfortable. And I never thought I'd be the kind of woman to send a nude or send a sexy text message. And if that feels like, you know, there has to be a genuine yes for you. Like, oh my gosh, that feels edgy and awkward and uncomfortable. And how is he going to receive that? But I actually want to do it. Yeah. Like lean into the discomfort, lean into the part of you that's like, oh my gosh, again, especially if you're in a long-term relationship and you've never sent a nude, or that was like in the first months of your relationship and you haven't in years and years and years. Like, you know, you've got to actually, what's that fucking Einstein quote? Definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results. It's like, yeah, if you want to shake shit up in your sex life, shake shit up, do something different, inject a new energy into this space.
Yeah. And the key thing here is like, if you're wanting something deeper from him, can you give something deeper from yourself? I think that goes both ways.
Yeah.
That's not just for women in this regard. I don't want to just think that like, oh, if I want something, I've always got to give more, but it's like, you're aching for a depth of passion, then bring through like a passion that he's never felt from you before. Is that the nude? Is that the cheeky sort of dirty text? Is it the, like he walks home, like walks into you, like in your naked in the kitchen. Like, is it like take up space in his awareness that like that in a way that feeds him?
Yeah. Is it one night going, okay, I want to give you a massage, and you know, give him a full body massage, and maybe it ends at his cock and you're just like worshipping his cock. Like what if that was, what would it feel like to offer that level of your own lovership and your own generosity in that way? Yeah. And again, I want to also just bring in that you could do all of these things. And if that's not, if you're then not feeling that sense of like, oh, I still don't feel like I'm being met in this, or I'm feeling I'm always having to initiate, and I'd like him to like a conversation, bring your desires forth, see what needs to shift in your life so that you can be experiencing this together.
Yes.
Okay. Next question. Sorry, there's a few questions here. I want to just, because we probably only have time for maybe one more.
Choose the best one. 3, 2,
these questions
1.
are long. Okay. Okay, this one.
Got it.
And this came from a course that I recently did called The Art of Loving a Man, which was such a fucking phenomenal course. And one of the things I was teaching in that course, because women joined this, the deepest desire and the purpose of this course was for women who deeply yearned to feel their partner's leadership and to feel their man step up and to feel like claimed and chosen and ravished in partnership. And so one of the things that I taught within that is that if you want to feel your man's leadership, you've got to stop thinking you know better than him. Full stop. You've got to stop thinking that you always know how to stack the dishwasher better, or you always know the best directions, or you always know, like, just like letting go of this part of you that's a bit righteous in like, I know better. And so the way you're doing it is wrong.
Stop treating like a child.
Yeah. One of the questions that I got from a few women in the course was, so will there ever be able to be times where I get to do it my way if I really think I could do it better than him? And so I want us to speak into that, because, what I was really saying in, when you stop looking at your man and going, I know better than him, really that's then like trusting him to do the thing in the way that he wants to do it. So an example of this, and I use this example all the time, but it's like driving somewhere. He's in the driver's seat, and I even do this. Let's use our example, like an example of our real life. You drive a different way home to me. Mm-hmm. And every time we pass the way that I would turn, there's a feeling in my body, because when I drive, I turn there's a feeling in my body of like, oh, what's he doing? This isn't the right way where he's going. And yet I know that we're going to get home in probably the exact same amount of time. So I've never said anything, because I'm able to now meet that part of me and go, why? What is that going to achieve? Me saying, hey, you're going the wrong way. Hey, did you know? Because I've put it in maps that this is actually faster, maybe 5 seconds faster. Like, for me, I know, what's the fucking point of telling you that, right? I'm just going to trust that you are going to get us home, and that you enjoy going this way, and you choose this way for a particular reason. And I'm just going to sit back and be a passenger princess and enjoy it and relax. So when I've let go of the need to, I know better than him, what becomes possible? I get to relax, and I get to enjoy the journey, and I get to continue to create intimacy, maybe in the conversation we're having, where if I was to say, hey, this is actually not the fastest way. This is actually wrong. You should have gone left. Like, do you think that's going to create deeper intimacy? No. And so the question here from this woman is like, well, okay, what if there is a situation where I feel like I genuinely feel like I could do it in a better way, or I genuinely feel like I do know better or have more skills to offer in that moment? Like, what do I have to keep quiet? Like, yeah. Do you want me to speak into this, or do you want to?
You can speak into it.
Well, I would think, yeah, that's like, I would say every woman knows the difference between when she's thinking she knows best versus when she genuinely has something powerful to offer. And I think this is also when we as women need to connect really deeply into our bodies. And like, we know the difference between, it's like when we're like, for me, that part of me that wants to tell you what to do, it's not a comfortable feeling. It feels grippy and tight and like, ugh, right? It feels controlling. There's a controlling aspect to that. And so there's like a physical feeling that comes along with that part of me. Whereas when I might have something to offer that's like, yeah, like I genuinely, or even for an example of this might be with the dog recently. We're training our dog, and sometimes there's been, maybe I haven't been good at this sometimes, but I think other times I've been great at this when I've been like, I'll share like, hey, you might be wrestling our dog on the ground. And obviously, because we're about to have a baby, we've had a trainer come in with the dog, and the trainer's like, don't wrestle the dog anymore, because then the dog thinks it's okay to nip. So when I notice you doing that, at times I've been like, hey, it actually doesn't feel that great for me when you wrestle him, because I really, it just makes me feel a bit nervous as to what's then he's going to be like when the baby comes. And that feels heart-led and genuine, and like from this place of like, oh, this is important to me and I really need you to feel this, versus just telling you what to do because I don't trust you.
Yes.
Do you have anything to say on that? Because I think it's an important thing.
If it's what it means to you.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Like, it doesn't feel good. Like, it's important for me to that we train the dog this way because as a mother with a young child, I don't want to have to like have any extra stress. Okay, cool. That's fair. That makes sense. Versus the I know better. Like if you believe, if you think you can do it better, and it's just like what's the outcome? I think of like children. Like it's children. Like of course you can do everything better than a child. Like I'm just thinking of like a child that's like making a sandcastle and like the parent grabs the sand, like the shovel or the bucket out of the child's hand and says, "Oh yeah, just let me do it. I'll just do that." Like how does that make someone feel empowered or make someone feel not good enough? Like ask yourself, would me doing this instead of them empower them or exacerbate their not enoughness? And if it's like, oh, it's not empowering, then why would I do it?
And for women, there's going to be many moments where you realize, oh, what would be the outcome of this? Like, oh, I was just wanting to tell him that because I think I know better, but it's actually when
You're a control freak.
Yeah, like there's you're going to have to meet the part of you. Often we just tell a man what to do because it makes us feel more comfortable.
Yeah, because we're a control freak.
Because we're comfortable in control. And so...
Control freak.
I don't like it.
No, you don't like that, do you? You like being called a freak, but not a control freak. I only say that because I know I'm a control freak.
But it's important that we acknowledge or like on this journey of being able to trust a man, and that is the only way of experiencing more of his power and leadership. If you're constantly telling him what to do, that man's going to go, fuck that. I'm just going to either like tap the fuck out and I'll just do it whatever way because it's easier. Like you can tell me what to do because it's easier. Or he's just going to like fucking tap out and leave.
You'll create a mother-son dynamic.
Yeah.
He'll just be living, it'll be like he's in a relationship with his mum. And
it'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy of like, oh, see, he can never get it right. He can never get it right. He can never get it right. He's always like, I've got to tell him what to do all the time.
And in his head, she doesn't let me do anything. She doesn't appreciate me. I can't get a word in. I can't do anything right. God, this is... And it's like you're both, feeding yourselves a story that doesn't create connection, doesn't create intimacy, doesn't create passion. So really, is it that important that you can do it better?
No. If it feels genuinely like, if something feels genuinely unsafe or like it's really important to you or it's value oriented in some way, of course, like bring your heart through and share why that's important that he does it in a particular way, or you share why you would like him why you want to offer your expression or your opinion about something. Of course. But if you're just telling him what to do from a place of, I know better. Look at him. He doesn't even know what he's doing. Like, no, that is not a doorway to deeper intimacy. And that means on your journey to feeling more of his power, you're going to have to sit in those moments and go and shut your fucking mouth and then be with the part of you that wants to say something. So let's use the example of driving again. The part of me that maybe wanted to say, oh, turn left. I've just got to take a few deep breaths and go, we're going to get home. What's the big deal? Maybe you take 10 seconds longer. Why do I need to tell him that? Do I have the need to be right now? Like, what is that? Like, and I can just feel, I have to sit with all of that in my own body instead of just like projecting it onto him. And so I can just feel like, yeah, I'm right. That is the right way. No, it's like being with the discomfort. That's how we unplug from control. That's how we become a space for a man that can really deeply lead us, is we be with the discomfort of the part of us that wants to stay in control and feel safe in control.
Yeah, there is an underlying story or underlying belief that I see in women where they are in this kind of, they're playing out this dynamic is like the only way for me to feel safe is to be in control. And that's, deeply rooted in like the collective, healing journey that women have to go on of like, there are safe men. There are men that when they take the lead, they do have your best interests at heart. And there has been a history where that wasn't true.
Yeah.
So this is your work on behalf of yourself and the women to come, the next generations. Like this is your work to like teach your body to like be in your body and be like, it's safe for me to let go of control.
Something I always say is like treat him, like see him and treat him like a powerful fucking man. And so would you tell a powerful fucking man? Would you try and mother a powerful man? Would you try and micromanage every one of his decisions and everything he does around your home? No. And so the next time you want to do that, and this is probably the piece between knowing like when to express something and when to bring something genuinely to the space versus when not to. Okay, if I genuinely saw him as a powerful fucking man right now, would I feel the need to tell him this? Probably not if it's coming from a controlling, micromanaging place. But yes, if it's coming from this is genuine and this is, I need to share this to bring this to the space and be witnessed in this. So, and if you struggle if the idea of seeing and treating your man like a powerful man feels really fucking challenging, well, first of all, practice and know that yes, there may have been many things which have you feeling like he's not. But if you're choosing to be in that relationship, that is your duty.
Yes.
That is your duty. If you want your relationship to improve, you cannot hold him hostage to this belief that he's not powerful, right? And he never gets it right. Like that, there's never, when you're holding a man in that energy or in that belief, you're never going to receive and be able to witness his power. There's probably thousands of things he's doing in your relationship where he's bringing his power, where you're not actually able to see it through the lens in which you're seeing him through right now. Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, my love, there are a few more questions, but I think we'll leave it at that.
I think that's a really nice sort of closure on the call, on the podcast. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. That's, and I think it's nice to temper it with like a relationship, especially a long-term one. It's a practice. And it's not about getting it right in every moment, but it's about being to both of you being willing. And I really just want to speak into the power of like vulnerable conversations quite often lead to the deep connection and the fulfilling of desires. And I think if you can like be awkward or be clumsy and clunky with your words, but your heart is open, that speaks like levels to your willingness. And just like Meg said too, like if you can breathe down the need to control and like not necessarily like override a man's leadership and you can give him that space to drive you home the way he wants to drive home, like what happens when you guys get in the house? Like what becomes available to you? Like this is yes, it's in service to him, but then nothing goes one way.
And I love that you brought that through because that might seem like such a simple thing, the driving thing. And that's why I use that example a lot because it is a really simple thing. But I love that you said what becomes possible, not just in that moment, but if you weren't to say anything and if you were to just trust him in that moment, what becomes possible when you walk through the door? What becomes possible later at night when you're lying beside each other? Like these micro moments of just offering him trust and respect go so fucking far when we're relating to men.
Yes.
And the opposite is the same. It's like these chipping away at a man, like, oh, you're not going the right way. Oh, that's not how to do it. They might seem so small, but it goes a long fucking way.
The dripping tap.
Yeah, the death by 1,000 cuts.
That's it.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for being here for the Q&A, my loves. If you ever have a question that you want us to answer on the podcast, you can either send it through to, where do they want to send it? To our Instagram.
Yeah, chuck it to the Instagram.
Podcast Instagram.
Yeah.
Which is sex, love, everything in between.
Yeah. Maybe we should create a little questionnaire box that we can put on. We'll do that down the track as well. A little question box in the show notes. You want to submit a question? Submit a question. I think that'd be cool, like a type form or something like that.
That would be really great. But for now, just you can DM us at the podcast Instagram. And anything else you want to add?
Have a beautiful, beautiful day or evening wherever you're at. And yeah, just super grateful. This is, we're coming close to the 100th episode. So, you know.
I know we are. I think we're at, this is probably the 86 or 87.
Maybe we'll live stream the birth as the 100th episode. I haven't run that by Meg yet.
Oh
but
my gosh. Perfect.
How good would that be, having everyone watch you give birth, having just 1,000 sets of eyes in the room?
That would feel so safe and so beautiful. And
just let me lead. I'm going to put a little grandstand outside the door. Like,
we are giving birth in like our front room of our house, and if we did open the curtains,
it would be
it could be a show.
It would be a pretty cool thing to walk past. Be like, whoa,
wow, look at
the power of woman. And then I'll be squealing.
Okay, well, is it going to be a ticketed live?
Yep. Just click on the Eventbrite link down below. There's 3 tiers. VIP
Baby
access.
O'Neill's birth.
No, that one will be kept sacred. But really, just want to honour you guys showing up, and we've run into people down the street and we get messages all the time, and it's so great to hear how implementable some of the stuff we share on here is, and how real and transferable it is for you guys to take into your relationship. So that's a blessing, that we do this, I think, in service to all relationships, but it's so nice when we do receive those compliments or those confirmations that what we're doing is making a difference. So thank you so much.
And my fave thing is when someone just like randomly is like, hey, I listened to your podcast. I'm like, oh, hello. It's so fun because we do just sit in our lounge room looking at each other and having a chat and then our team sends it out to all the platforms. So sometimes it is always beautiful to know who is listening and to meet people who are listening. So if you ever see us in the flesh, please let us know you're a podcast listener.
Please do. Alrighty.
We love you.
Bless up.
See
Big love.
soon. Bye.
Peace.